All right, and we're back. Just wanted to hop on and say a few words about the movie Action Jackson. Celebrates the 37th anniversary of its release today. I actually saw the movie in theaters in Florida with good old Grandpa Nat, my dad's dad, who was a big moviegoer, strangely enough. He didn't seem like the kind of guy who was a real scholarly, he owned a bowling alley and a nightclub, but he was a real scholarly guy. If he had had my socioeconomic advantages, he probably would have been a doctor or a scientist or a physicist or something, because Grandpa Nat was a genius. But he took me to see Action Jackson, and it's not very good. It's a guilty pleasure movie. It's ultimate guilty pleasure. Carl Weathers is fucking jacked. He looks great. Sharon Stone, who was rising like a bullet at the time, she's terrific. Craig T. Nelson, before the TV show Coach, is kind of a mustache-twirling villain. And Bill Duke, Carl Weathers' buddy and co-star from the movie Predator, gets to play the captain. Carl is a police officer in this film. He had been a lieutenant and had been busted down to sergeant. There are two dialogue beats in this film that are such pure cinematic gold that it almost elevates this trashy film to an exalted level. It's just moments that are so perfect. And one of them happens early in the film where Bill Duke's captain is kind of laying down the law or dressing down Carl Weathers' Sergeant Jericho Jackson. And he does it by way of a lot of exposition. He just starts talking and kind of giving the audience an idea of who Jericho Jackson is. High school track star, local guy. The movie is set in Detroit. He's from the Detroit area. High school track star, Harvard law degree. Now, I remember seeing the film, I'm like 13 years old, and even my still developing medulla oblongata, I thought that was weird in the moment. Harvard law degree. And just as I'm about to say out loud to my grandfather, Bill Duke goes, frankly, if I had a Harvard law degree, I never would have become a policeman. And if that isn't the most obvious point to make, given the circumstances, and Bill Duke with that very kind of laconic, flat line reading, he makes it even funnier by the way that he states the obvious, not in a showy way. If I had a Harvard law degree, I never would have become a policeman. He almost says it a little in an Alan Rickman kind of a style. So that was one unbelievable moment of dialogue, exposition, as I like to say, nail meathead. All right, so later in the movie, the character that is played by Denise Matthews, professionally she went by Vanity. She died young. She was about 56 or 57 when she died. She wasn't necessarily a great actress. She's strong in the movie The Last Dragon, which is another guilty pleasure movie, a way better movie than Action Jackson. She was a model. She was a really beautiful woman. And people who knew her always talked about Taimak, the guy that her co-star in Last Dragon, talked about what a lovely soul she was. She was such a wonderful person. Everybody adored her. She died young. But in the world of this film, she plays this sort of lounge singer. She works for Craig T. Nelson's auto industry magnate, Peter Delaplane. He's sort of a John DeLorean type. Some of you probably don't know who that is. The guy that created the DeLorean from Back to the Future. But he plays this auto industry magnate who is filthy rich, and he is horrendous. He's a criminal scumbag. Like, he's so horrendous. And it's funny, if you only know Craig T. Nelson is playing a clown on the TV show Coach, he's a very versatile actor. Makes for a good villain in this film, a believable villain. He's married to Sharon Stone's character of Patrice. And Sharon also doesn't have that much to do. She is a big character in the first part of the movie. But you can see it was just a matter of time before Sharon was going to become a star. She is hitting her marks like a movie star, even in a limited role. She looks dynamite, and although they're not together, she and Carl have really good chemistry in their scenes together, again, early in the film. Craig T. Nelson's Peter Delaplane not only is an auto industry magnate, he has a nightclub that he runs. I think that he's a full owner, a partial, it doesn't really matter. It's his nightclub. And Vanity, Denise Matthews, went by Vanity. She's billed in the film as Vanity. I just always thought that was kind of an interesting name, or professional name. she plays Sydney is the name of her character, and she's a lounge singer. And in real life, Denise Matthews was a terrific singer. So there's a moment in the film. There I am, adorable little 13-year-old Jeremy, seeing this really gorgeous woman slinking around the nightclub. And it's a captive audience. It's just Craig T. Nelson's Peter Delaplane who is in attendance. This is like a private show for him. And she's not taking her clothes off, but she is wearing a somewhat inappropriate purple dress and slinking around. It's a little bit like what Michelle Pfeiffer does in The Fabulous Baker Boys the following year, where she's basically seducing Jeff Bridges as one of the Fabulous Baker Boys. While she's doing a number, she's moving around on stage and on top of a piano in more or less a sexual way. The character of Sydney is not exactly doing that, but she is singing in a breathless style, and she ends the song, and throughout her, I guess they have about 45 seconds of it in the movie, Craig T. Nelson's Peter Delaplane is not moving. He's having zero reaction to what she has done, what she's doing, what she has done. She finishes the song, and she says also the obvious, I expected a standing ovation. Okay. Craig T. Nelson, without moving a muscle, goes, you're getting one. Now, it's a bit embarrassing, more than a bit embarrassing, to admit that when I saw the movie, that line did not land. I did not understand why Grandpa Nat was laughing and why the other people in the surrounding area were chuckling. But not wanting to appear stupid, I didn't say anything. And I kind of forgot about it. You know, I saw the movie in theaters. Grandpa thought it was a piece of trash. I really liked it. I didn't think about that line again. And then I guess about maybe 8 years later, Action Jackson is on HBO. And I'm watching it. And you get to that scene, and I had completely forgotten of my virginal reaction first time watching the movie. We get to that scene, and when Vanity says, I expected a standing ovation, and Craig T. Nelson goes, you're getting one. I was screaming. I got the joke. It should have been funny, but I didn't understand it at 13. My virgin years. I didn't understand it. That's a really kind of underrated bit of dialogue from the decade, because this movie, at best, I'd give it 3 stars just because it's so damned entertaining. And to see Carl Weathers in the lead, he didn't play very many leads. This is really the only one in a major motion picture. He had a lot of huge supporting roles, as we know. But this is his one lead, and I wish it had done better. I wish that it had become a franchise. The movie's just not that good. So many terrific actors in smaller roles, such as Robert Davi, who also his role is limited. Spoiler alert, he gets bumped off in the first 5 minutes of the film. But that's all I wanted to say. 37th anniversary of Action Jackson, a guilty pleasure movie times whatever, but has these 2 phenomenal moments of dialogue that elevate the film, in my opinion, significantly.